So I mentioned earlier in this conversation that we can't ignore the role of polarization in American politics and sort of driving particular outcomes. And I think the reason to be worried about popular vote electoral college splits has everything to do with the fact that there's no indication that our society or politics are going to become less polarized in the future. And so what you'll be looking at potentially, and right now it's Democrat, Republican, and that's the partisan valence of it. But I would encourage people to think of this not in terms of partisanship, but in terms of just sort of how democracies maintain legitimacy. So what you may be looking at this year, 4 years from now, 8 years from now, are situations where one candidate doesn't just win a couple more million votes, doesn't just win 4 or 5 more million votes, but conceivably win 7, 8, 9 million more votes than their opponent, large numbers, large percentages, and does not become the president. In that scenario, the person who has won, who has lost rather, doesn't necessarily have a less diverse coalition, a less geographically broad coalition. It's just sort of the vagaries of chance. Their voters are geographically ill-distributed. And the result of that outcome is that the winning candidate not only has executive power, but because of our polarized politics and the fact that the Democratic and Republican parties are pretty much ideologically, don't vary much from their polls, would mean that you would have a governing coalition that doesn't really reflect the entire public pursuing what is essentially a factional agenda. And I'd like to note that the framers, and Jefferson and Madison in particular, or Madison more than Jefferson, who worried about this in the final years of their lives, that winner take all for the Electoral College would essentially make factionalism of that sort much more attractive. And I think that's what we're witnessing.
I do agree that we are in a divided time. I do agree that both parties are broken. And I do agree that everybody needs to do a better job of coalition building. But I would just lay the blame equally on everybody. Everybody is doing it. I think that the Democrats feel like they see weakness in the Republican Party, so they're doubling down on the cater to the base. But Republicans are also, if they weren't catering to their base so badly, they'd be building better coalitions. So I just think that's what it is. I kind of want to go back to some of the safe and swing state stuff. Just because it's been in and out and it hasn't really been fully addressed. Look, my view is there is no such thing as a permanently safe or swing state. They change all the time. Kate mentioned that, some think Texas could go purple soon. It just changes. West Virginia, people forget. In 2000, if West Virginia had not flipped from a safe blue state, which it was before 2000, to a safe red one, George W. Bush would not have won that election, regardless of what happened in Florida. And you can see examples throughout history. California used to vote Republican. Texas used to vote Democrat for Jimmy Carter. There's a whole slew of southern states that voted for Barack Obama or voted for Bill Clinton that would not dream of voting for Barack Obama. It is constantly shifting.